Hi all and welcome to part 2 of my DJI Ronin SC review. I left a couple of things out in part 1 and a couple of questions what people answered, so I'm going to answer them now. Just before we go any further, I'm going to say over the next coming weeks we're going to look at some reviews of the Godox AD200, 860 V2 and the Godox, all the Godox lighting system. We're going to take a look at that, and I will tell you right off the bat, it's outstanding. I can't believe I didn't go to it years ago. And I'm also going to review a Sekonic L47 8DR light meter. I bought that meter for measuring flash more than anything, so that I can get perfect fill flash portraits so that they look pretty natural, and most people don't know you've used flash. It is hard to do sometimes when you're on the field and the sun's out and it's bright, so I've got that meter so that you'll see when I do the review anyway how it gives you a perfect fill flash. So on with the review and the bits that I left out of part 1. One of the questions was, does the Canon 10-18mm f4.5 to 5.6 EFS lens work? Yes, it works flawlessly out of the box. No messing around, no catching. You don't have to take the rubber off on the 80D or the 70D, whichever one you're going to use, for it to miss. It just works out of the box flawlessly. Also does the 24mm f2.8 pancake lens. That also works great as well out of the box. The reason why I don't tend to, I did buy it for the gimbal, the reason why I don't tend to use it a lot is because the 24-105 is just better. I get a better focal range and I've got IS on it, and it does make a difference when you look at the footage. Don't get me wrong, you can add a bit of stabilisation in post with the prime and it works great. So if you're after ultra lightweight, get a nice low weight pancake lens, put it on the DJI Ronin SC and it's beautifully light. Yes, you might have to do a little, I mean, most of your shots you tend to slow down anyway. Even without IS you'd get away with it, but if you want it to be really cinematic you would add a bit of stabilisation, where with the 24-105 you don't have to do anything. But you do have the negative, as you've got to take the rubber off of your 70D or 80D, and it does catch when you are wanting to use 360 mode, or if you left the rubber on you won't be able to use any of the modes, so you've got to take it off. Now, when I first ever balanced the gimbal, I balanced it with the screen out on the EOS 80D, which you did see in part 1, and you couldn't get into what you call 360 mode, which is where you're in normal mode, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and you want the camera to point up to the sky so that you can do your 360 mode. It catches the back of the gimbal and it will not go, but I'll show you. I'm going to show you a workaround that I've found, and I'm going to show you how to do it even if you don't use the workaround. So the workaround we've found that works is to leave your screen in on your 80D when you balance it. That enabled me to push the camera towards my camera there, and it still catches. But if I go into mode 3 now, hang on, I'll just go back to mode 2. You did it? I'll go back to mode 3 again. I'm near the mic now, so the mic should pick it up. So you should have heard that. But I've gone into 360 mode now, even though it rubbed slightly. I've gone into 360 mode and I haven't had to do no additional steps. Yes, can you go into undersling mode? Hold the lock button. I'm in undersling mode. Oops. I suggest if you're going to use undersling mode, you grab it from the feet. So we're in undersling mode now, press the lock button, come back out, we're in normal mode. So everything does work. That was your question. But what I am going to show you, and I'm not going to rebalance the gimbal because I'm too busy. If I rebalance the gimbal with the screen out, I cannot go straight up in, I'll come close to the camera, I cannot do that. It'll catch and it'll beep and it will not do that. So I'll just go back to mode 2. The only difference you've got to do if you want to balance it with your screen out, which I think I'm going to go back to, I'm not bothered, is I've got to hold the lock button on the gimbal, go into torch mode, press mode 3 now, hold the lock button again, and I'm now in 360 mode. And now I could have done that, but the screen's not out at the minute, but that's how you do it with the screen out. You can't just press the button for it to do it straight away. If I want to come back out of that mode, I have to go hold the lock button, go back to flashlight mode, bring it out of mode 3, hold the lock button again, and I'm back into this mode. That's how you've got to do it if you balance it with the screen out. That is the only difference. Put the screen in, it still catches a little bit, but you don't have to do any extra step. We can just go, hang on, I want to video the sky, I'm in mode, there you go, I'm away. No additional steps. I balance it with the screen out, and here's why. I've just told you, when you're in undersling mode, you ain't got a clue what's going on, you can't see. And you don't want to, depending on how busy you are, you don't want to have to you only move the left and right, to be fair. You could balance it with it in, and if you wanted to go into undersling mode, put it in and do it the other way, but it means moving the balance, and the gimbal's very finicky. The motors shake whenever you're moving an adjustment. You've got to auto-tune them. What I'm going to do when I go to a wedding, I'm going to make a decision whether I want the screen in or out, balance it and just leave it. When I get it out of the bag, the screen will come out of the 80D and I will not mess with it, because I don't want to be auto-tuning or doing anything on the day. So there's your answer. That's how it works. It works flawlessly with the screen in or out. I mean, look, the only real negative, I'll be really clear on this and then I've got to go, is if you have the screen out, you can still go into 360 mode, in torchlight mode, 360 mode. That way, it only really affects the upright 360 mode. You've got to go into torchlight first, then put it into 360, hold your lock button and then go hold, and then you're in 360 mode. If you balance it with the screen in, which doesn't enable you to see what's going on when you're shooting low down. If you've got a wide angle lens, it probably don't matter. You can just point the camera and it'll work. So you don't have to worry about it. That's the negative to balancing it with the screen in. But again, when you want to go in 360 mode to the sky with the screen in, you just do it as normal, as if it had the 10-18 on it or the pancake. It does catch, you did hear it on the mic, but it doesn't affect anything. If the motors get locked on the Ronin SC, if for any reason, sometimes you get a gimbal confused when you flip it into undersling mode, it can get a bit caught and a bit stuck. It goes into standby mode so that you don't burn anything out. All you've got to do when you've sorted it out is just press the power button briefly for a second and it takes it back out of standby mode, just like that. I don't know if I mentioned the Sigma 18-35 art lens. It doesn't work with that either. It's too nose heavy. I can't remember whether I mentioned it because I've recorded it about 10 times because I just didn't like the video. So it doesn't work with that lens. It's too nose heavy. There's no workaround. Anyway, hope this video helps. Thanks for watching. Please comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in these next up and coming videos about the Godox and the L478DR. This is probably the last video I'm going to do on the DJI Ronin SC, and hopefully it answered all them questions.